Good day, Bennett William speaking. I'm from Alpha Human Resources Management. We are an HR company based in the Western Cape in South Africa. This is our 5th video. And today I would like to discuss policies and procedures within a company. And we've got quite a number of them, about close to 30 policies and procedures that we can assist companies with. And most of the companies ask us to actually draft all the policies for them, which we put into a file. And we also sort of put it in on an electronic stick. And as such, we provide the policies and procedures. And most of the policies, not all of them, are actually sort of adopted so that it can fit in with the need of the company and the rules and regulations with regards to the company and so forth. Yeah, basically, the first policy that we've got is what we call the basic conditions of employment for the company specific, and that sort of declares the rules and regulations within a company on various topics and so forth. Okay, the second policy that we've got is that of recruitment and selection, and actually then determines or prescribe exactly how the company would go about when it does recruitment and when it does the selection for a specific position that might appear within the company. It gives guidelines to management on how to operate and assist them in many ways. Okay, so after you've recruited, obviously you've got a new person in your company, and you've got to look at the job grading of that person, the position and itself. So we've got a policy on that, on how job grading is done to make sure that there is the correct grading within the framework of the company itself. And we give guidance as far as that is concerned, and the policy actually assists with that. Going along with that is the remuneration policy, which determines what you would pay an individual at a specific grade for a specific job. And it actually assists management in making that kind of decision. A very important policy nowadays is what is called the child and forced labor policy, in which you explain how you would treat people younger than 18 years of age, and if they apply for a position within your company, and how you should go about that and what you need as far as that is concerned. And of course, it also then addresses forced labor, which is illegal in South Africa and hopefully all over the world, but it's not all over the world, but definitely in South Africa. So we make sure that your policy actually prescribes how would you handle situations like that. Okay. The next one is the employment equity policy and your plan. Each and every company has got to have a policy as far as that is concerned, and it's got to have an employment equity plan. As a matter of fact, right now, within the next couple of months until the 15th of January in South Africa, you've got to submit your employment equity figures and report to the Department of Labor. And very essential that you make sure that you've got such a policy and that it determines how you would handle equity within your company. Next one, freedom of association. In South Africa, that's a very important policy and procedure. That both management and employees has got the freedom of association. Management would sort of associate themselves with maybe an employers' organization that would assist them in many ways, and employees, on the other hand, might like to join a union and so forth. And this policy actually then spells it out exactly how that one is sort of done and worked. Okay, orientation policy, I've spoken about that a couple of weeks ago. Very, very important that you've got an orientation policy and how you would treat orientation of new employees, or even the re-orientation of existing employees, and how you assist them. Then very important as well, leave policy, and there we talk about annual leave, we talk about sick leave, we talk about maternity leave, we discuss the family leave, that family responsibility leave as they call it, and nowadays there's also the parental leave and all other kinds of leave that might appear, with study leave or leave without pay and so forth. So that policy would address everything with regards to that. Another one is the HIV/AIDS policy, how your company would treat that and use that within the company and so forth. And then Retrenchment and redundancy, very important that you've got that policy. And even though you might not think of retrenching or making positions redundant within the next couple of months and so forth, it's important that you have that kind of policy in line. Okay, next one, personal development, a policy which aims at the development of certain individuals within the company that's got the ability to grow into maybe more senior positions and so forth. And it explains exactly how it works and the responsibility of both parties when it comes to that training program and so forth. Okay, then cell phone policy, very, very important. There's such an abuse of cell phones in the workplace that actually explains what is allowed and what not, but it also explains or lays out the rules and regulations with regards to company cell phones and what should be done and how it should be done and how it should be managed and so forth. Okay, then we get to clothing policy, and especially with regards to where there is prescribed sort of rules and regulations with regards to clothing, and especially when it comes to safety clothing. And that is all brought into that policy and explains, and it's a tool for management to actually make sure that they treat everybody with regards to the clothing policy in the same way and correctly and so forth. Then your labor policy, we call it labor policy, but that's actually your disciplinary code and procedures, your grievance procedure, and so forth. And it explains everything with regards to that. It's quite a rather sort of informative policy, more a tool for management and how to handle discipline. And it's about 34, 35 pages that indicates the assistance for management on how to handle all those facts and so forth. Okay. Very important as well nowadays and always, health and safety policy, and added to that your risk management within your company. So we've combined that lately, and it sort of, once again, is a tool for management on how to sort of look at health and safety within the company, which is very important. Then the next one is alcohol and drugs policy, and that aims at giving management sort of tools on how to handle a situation where there's abuse of alcohol and drugs. How do you handle individuals with regards to that? If you supply any assistance, what kind of assistance is available, and how would you sort of address that whole situation and see if you can assist wherever, any employee that is sort of in a situation where he abuses either alcohol or drugs or whatever the case may be. And, that rule is very important. Okay. The next one, also important, sexual harassment. It often gets up and it's a very, very complicated situation, but the policy actually assists management very much in how do you handle it. And it's something that you can't close your eyes to. If you pick up a situation like that, you will get reports like that. You need to follow certain rules and you need to follow certain steps. And this policy actually makes it easy for you to understand what it's all about and how to handle that. Next one is your smoking policy, which coincides with the rules and regulations and the law within the country when it comes to smoking. And it actually makes it easier for management to actually dish it out to employees and say, this is our rule and this is what you should abide by when it comes to that. One that's pushing more and more into South Africa is what we call R2, the R2 policy, which has got to do with traffic offences and so forth, and where in the past the company sort of paid for that traffic offences and that's it, or paid for it and then got the money back from the individual if they so wish. Now the R2 policy actually explains exactly how to handle that kind of situation and how to make sure that the individual sort of reports any offences in that regard, and that the company actually reports the individual to the authorities so that the traffic offence is not placed on the company itself, but on the individual. And what happens if there's a lot of sort of offences from a specific individual and so forth, how do you handle that kind of situation? And hand in hand with that is the vehicle policy of companies, on the control and the management of company vehicles and so forth, and the responsibility of people who are using company vehicles as far as that is concerned as well. Okay, we're getting very close to the end. The next one is the electronic media policy. Also very important that you've got to make sure that you've got a policy that actually manages and controls the use of electronic equipment with regards to the internet, the often abuse of the internet in social media platforms and so forth. And if employee transgresses, what do you do? How do you handle that? And we all put that under what we call the electronic media policy. Then, of course, nowadays that we are right into the pandemic, you need to have a COVID policy that actually explains exactly how you are handling situations with regard to the COVID pandemic and so forth, and the sort of rules that you follow and what needs to be followed by the individuals, the employees as well. And then also one that actually came into existence in this year is what is called the POPI policy, which is the protection of private information and so forth. You know, each and every company must have that, and we explain that, and we've got the variety of forms that goes with that to actually help management on how to manage the POPI Act and make it their own as far as the POPI policy within the company is concerned. Then second last one is what we call the Whistleblowers Act, and that is to protect people that actually report misbehavior or misconduct, whatever, by employees. And often employees would like to know within the disciplinary hearings that you have that they say, who said that? Where does it come from? Now, what the Whistleblowers Act then obviously does is with their own whistleblowers policy, it protects those individuals and those witnesses so that they don't undergo maybe threats afterwards and whatever the case may be. So that's a protection. We call it a protection policy, but it's called as the Whistleblowers policy and goes hand in hand with the Whistleblowers Act in South Africa. The last one, and some people don't actually think it's very important, but we do, is what we call the who signs what policy. It's very important that management actually determines what kind of documents are signed by whom, because it can have a major effect on the company itself or so forth. And you've got to make sure that even with regards to signing documentation, that the right people actually is appointed to sign those kinds of documents. Those documentation and others, some companies actually approach us and they want an individual policy that's not maybe on our general list. And we do draft that for them on many occasions. And these policies are available in English and in Afrikaans. And as I said, it's also available electronically. So if you are interested in having a look at the variety policies again, make contact with us. We will leave our contact details below the video, and you can make contact with us and we can send you the list again, and you can look through what we are saying with regards to all these policies, and you can actually then sort of ask us to actually assist you drafting the policies for your company. We love to be in touch. We love to assist wherever we can. And we say thank you very much again. Until next time, enjoy your time in your business.